Alright, what's the view on TikTok? That looks pretty good. Okay. Let me adjust my cameras here and we'll get started. Happy Veterans Day, everybody. Alright. How's everybody's weekend going? I'm going to tear this, what was supposed to be an earring, apart and weave it into this elf weave sheet that I started yesterday. I want to put my brace on. Glowstick74, thank you for the follow. That puts me right at 1,500 followers. You are follower number 15. Thank you so much. We are 8,500 away from our goal of 10,000, so that I don't have to use my phone as a camera and can stream like a regular person on TikTok. Hope everyone's having a good weekend so far and everyone's staying safe. There was always a safety briefing every weekend before we were let go when I was in the military. And there have been many versions of it. But the one I like the most is, it goes along the lines of, you know, don't add to the population, don't subtract from the population. If you find yourself surrounded. No, that's not it. I don't remember what it is. Dang it. Jeep and Jammer, how you doing, buddy? We just hit 1,500 followers. Trying to see how far we can expand this little piece of elf sheet that I'm working on. It's pretty tight, so it's not going to be super flexible. But as long as it's not a board, and we can find the right thing to wrap it around, we can make a cool sort of bottle wrap dealio or something. It's pretty tight though. I don't know. You're doing good, and that's awesome. Yeah, it is awesome. 1,500 followers. That's cool. Now, if only the platform that I got 1,500 followers on would stop acting like other platforms that I left. I didn't leave them. I'm still on there. I don't use them because they're trash mostly. Right? So I come on here, stream. I know people like what I do, right? And it's not for everyone, but the algorithms that run the social medias would only ever show my content to, I don't know, less than 50 people. So I think most of my audiences on other platforms aren't even aware that I stream chainmail content and, you know, make stuff related to chainmail. So, I don't know. It's kind of an annoying reality. Just hoping TikTok doesn't turn out that way. We'll see. Alright. Is this... This ring on the end here feels like it's not in the right. No, it is. Okay. Just gotta find another ring to lock it down. Mother Wolf followed the host. 1501. Thank you for the follow. So I just posted on another platform that shall not be named an image of one of the first shirts that I ever made from a long, long time ago. And it was while I was in Abu Ghraib, Iraq. And I had done a lot of work on it prior to being deployed, but finally finished it while I was out there. And it's the large reason why I advise people to avoid using galvanized steel if they can today. Because it's why I advise people against starting out by making their own rings. It's not the worst thing to do, but it's easier to start off with a kit with professionally made rings to see if you get a taste for the hobby than it is for you to spend a bunch of time and money making rings and have them come out subpar like mine did, because I didn't know what I was doing. There's much more information available out there today, but even so, right, it's difficult to make a high quality ring without some investment capital into making rings. So the shirt I made was European 6-in-1. It was very heavy. It was not easy to take on or off. It was like a board mostly, and it stank because it's galvanized steel, and galvanized steel stinks. You can find aluminum fence wire for electrical fences at all the hardware stores. That's definitely an improvement. Alright, my foot's numb. I gotta move. But, if you can, get yourself a kit. Start with some really nice looking rings and make a couple of projects to see if you like doing what I'm doing right here. Just weaving a couple rings. You just finished watching Hellboy, like the very first one, with, what's his name? Kaylin Davis, thank you for the rose. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to sniff and go, ooh, smells so good. Smells so good. I can't smell anything. My allergies are terrible, but I've only ran across some of those AI things. AI streams once or twice. Man, that is a board. And it still flexes. The reason I'm like tentative about moving forward with it when it's this board-like. Caitlin, thank you for the roses. Is because I don't want it to get so far along, and then when I try and bend it, here's what we're working on. Alright, let me make sure that you guys can see that. Sorry, there's like a 5-6 second delay on TikTok. Too far away, too close now. Come on, focus. Focus. There we go. So this is Elf Weave using blackened stainless steel from the Ringlord. And it's a fun sheet weave. There's only one way to tell, right? And that is to keep going. So we will I didn't look. I haven't found something, an item to wrap this around. And I need to do that fairly quickly. Because the reality is, it's only going to get so large before I need to determine what direction to take it. Do I make it wider? Do I make it longer? You know, I can only do so much pre-work before I've got to nail down exactly what I'm doing. Alright, Hellboy with Ron Perlman, huh? That one's a good movie. I liked that one. All the, like, DC, Marvel, MCU stuff, I never read the comics growing up. I didn't know anything about them until they became movies. So I always just thought Hellboy was it's just a movie, you know? I think the comics I read growing up were Garfield, Calvin and Hobbes, which is highly recommended. And I had an Archie Bunker cartoon comic book. Which if that doesn't tell you that I'm old, nothing will. Yeah, but I did not get raised on comic books. So when all these movies started getting made, I was just like, oh, hey, cool movie. Like, clearly I knew about X-Men from the Saturday morning cartoons. But even then, I didn't know that X-Men was a comic. And I wish... Didn't they make another Hellboy with someone else playing the Red Demon guy, Ron Perlman's character? I didn't see that one. It's like they made Hellboy and Hellboy 2, and then they remade Hellboy or something with a totally different actor. I didn't see... I saw the first Hellboy. I might have seen Hellboy 2, and then there's like Hellboy and the Golden Army. Does that sound like a thing? Alright. It's like at 9 years old, I had never read a comic in the DC or Marvel genre. And my son, who's 9 years old, is asking to go see Five Nights at Freddy's. And I'm like, yeah, no, buddy. It's PG-13. You're not old enough. That's an easy one. That's an easy parental decision, right? If I have to go and babysit you while you're watching the movie, it's got too much. It's inappropriate for you, buddy. Sorry. He's mad at me right now. I wouldn't let him spend the night at a neighbor's house. They're 2 houses down, but it's a little girl and then a slightly older boy. And my wife knows the family. I don't really know them. I've met them, but I don't know them well enough to be comfortable with my kids spending the night. And I thought that people just stopped doing overnights with their kids. I was kind of shocked when I got asked when he asked me if he could stay over, and like the neighbor's parents were okay with it, right? And it's like, no, I thought we weren't doing that anymore, like collectively as a society, from all of the trauma that was caused by bad things happening in the 80s and 90s. Yes, they did Hellboy with another actor. It wasn't as good. And Golden Army is the second one. Okay, I haven't seen the second one. I've only seen the first one, then. Come on. Alright. This is going to turn into something. Like, there's enough flex in there that it's not tearing itself apart when I bend it. So it'll be okay, right? And also, the other day when I went looking, when I used my old laptop from 2005, it has a DVD player on it, and I need to get some images of some chainmail that I had a photographer take some high-res images of, and I'm going to add them to the slideshow. I didn't have time to do that today, but while I was looking at pictures on my old laptop, I found images of the galvanized, did I say this already? The galvanized steel shirt that I made in Iraq. I think I did say this already. But I also found the stainless steel shirt vest deal that I made while I was on my second deployment. And that was the one I was talking about the other night, where I got caught at TSA with this giant mesh of chainmail in my duffel bag, and I got pulled out of the security line and had to go explain to the TSA guys what chainmail was and why I had it with me. You and your buddy would spend a week at a time at each other's house in the summer when we were in high school. I left when I was 14, so I just did whatever I wanted. And that's when I was 14. And growing up, I spent the night at my childhood best friend's house right up the hill from me. And nothing bad ever happened to me. However, I have heard horror story after horror story of kids who were growing up being put into bad situations when they were spending the night at someone else's house. And so I was under the impression that that was not something my generation and future generations were going to be doing. It's like, I want my son to have fun. He basically does whatever he wants. He has everything he could ever need and more. He's a good kid. And I bought him a go-kart at the beginning of the summer because growing up I didn't have a go-kart. And yeah, I understand that our neighborhood hasn't had a lot of kids that are his age here. In fact, none really. No young kids, and so having a couple of kids move in that are his age is very exciting. He called me a grump when I told him no. It's like, yeah. My job as a parent is to keep you safe and not allow you to put yourself in situations that could become hazardous to your health. And so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say no, even if that hurts your feelings. And I would never. Nintendo 827H. Is that an F or HJ? Thank you for the follow. 1,502 followers. 8,498 away from our goal of 10,000. Alright, so where was I? And here's another thing, right? They're out. They're having a few drinks, relaxing on a Saturday night, right? And they've got kids. They're parents, you know? They're responsible. But I'm never going to put my kid in a situation where the only adults around are inebriated or have been drinking. I think, you know, may just be me, but I think that's a recipe for disaster. That's just asking for something bad to happen. And I'm no angel. I'm not judging them or throwing shade or anything. But I think that the alcohol complicates the situation. Period. So I'm just going to let my kid be mad at me. And I'm going to be okay with it. And say no to sleepovers. If they don't get mad at you every once in a while, you're not doing your job. I agree, Thomas. I agree. He'll be alright, and he'll understand when he's older. Man, come on. Alright, so I did get a little more work done on this jelly cube. This big one right here. Started row 11. But I only have this many rings left. And I don't know if that's enough to expand all three sides that I would need to. So I think once I'm done with this bag, it's going to be unfinished, but that's okay. I will be ordering more rings in the future at some point. So I got that much done today. What else? I got out into the garage and started digging through a bunch of crap. I'd gone on a motorcycle ride the other day, and I could not find I have a helmet that connects to Bluetooth to my phone so that you can take calls and listen to music and all that fun stuff. And I couldn't find it. Went digging through the garage today, and it was behind one of the car covers. And so I dug that out, got that all cleaned up. And I've got the charger for it, so I know where it's at. So the next spring, if I need it, I can use it. You know what I meant? I meant to pull down my half helmet. There's some work I've been wanting to do on my half helmet for a long time, like adding spikes. Why? Because why not? But I got the saddlebags from the bike down here, and I've got the toolkit down here. So I'm going to start figuring that project out here pretty soon. And that one is probably mostly going to be clips of me working on it. Because the saddlebags are huge and they won't fit on my desk, and you know, trying to sit here with a saddlebag on camera is not, it's not going to work where I'm sitting right here, where I'm on the computer and can see comments and stuff. So I probably won't live stream it, but I'll work on it, try to record it, try and take some video. It'll be a fun project. It'll look cool when it's done. Right? I've seen a lot of other people with like chainmail wallet chains. Okay, it's, you know, a lot of people make and sell wallet chains. It's pretty standard. I know of 2 other people who have chainmail on their bike, and I'm sure there's more, but I want to be added to that elite group of people. There's a bike out in Hawaii, right? And the whole thing is covered in scale mail. And it had to have been just a metric ton of work. So that one's really cool. I know a girl who's got her saddlebags wrapped and her tool kit wrapped, and I don't think she has a bib on her gas tank though. So we'll see if I can't add that. And then I don't know of anyone else who has a chainmail vest like mine for their riding gear. So, which is probably smart. It's a chainmail vest mounted to a leather Harley vest, right? You would really like to get into making chainmail, but you can't spend that much time on something? I mean, you don't have to do what I'm doing. You can do a little bit at a time, right? Like, I finished up this cube a while ago. It was 9 by 9 rings, 9 wide by 9 long by 9 deep. I don't know. What are the dimensions of the cube? Height, width, and length? Okay. Bob Craftsman, thank you for the follow. And I just recently picked it up and started working on it the other day, adding more, you know. And of course, you know, chainmail is my everything. After family, chainmail is the thing I love the next most. And it can be time consuming, but you know, you just work on stuff a little bit here and there, and as long as you're consistently adding rings to stuff, projects get done. If you get started on something and don't finish it and it sits for the rest of eternity, you know, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Happens a lot. I have a lot of those projects, trying to finish up a lot of them right now. Those are the ones that are hardest to get done. The ones that have been sitting the longest. But yeah, no. If all your time is consumed, I can understand not having time to sit down and learn a weave. But I highly recommend chainmail as a hobby. The one ring at a time, though. I wish I had, what's the power? Telekinesis, where you can move things with your mind. I would just sit here and focus on a ring and open it and close it in the right place. No, I wouldn't want to do that because then my hands would be unoccupied. Do I buy my rings? Yes, I do. I buy my rings. I'm looking into starting manufacturing my own rings, but I made a bunch of really crappy rings early on. And they were out of galvanized steel. And they smell, and the pinch cuts are pinch cuts. They suck, right? And there are a multitude of different companies that manufacture rings specifically for chainmail, right? I can think of probably a dozen or so. Like the Ring Lord, We've Got Mail, West Coast Chainmail, Joe's Chainmail, Ogre Links, something like that, right? Just a bunch of different manufacturers that all make different, or that all make chainmail rings, and you can get, like, these were anodized titanium, right? We're gonna re-anodize them, okay? These are anodized niobium, and these are nice. You can make anodized niobium at home, right? But we're talking wrapping the coil, clipping all or cutting all the rings, and then anodizing all the rings. And, well, for niobium and titanium, that process isn't that complex. You can do it at home. Metals like the process of anodizing aluminum is very chemical heavy, right? That's not really something you can do at home without investing a lot of capital into your setup. So, up till recently, I have purchased all of my rings because I can get better quality rings from a manufacturer than what I can make at home. Now, I am moving towards being able to make my own rings at a high quality level because I want the ability, if I need a custom ring size, I want to be able to just go, coil up some rings, cut them, and call it a day. I don't want to wait, go online, order some rings on a computer, and then, wait 2 weeks for them to show up. So eventually I will have the ability to make my own rings, and then I'm going to get an anodizing setup so that I can anodize my own titanium and niobium if I want to. I encourage people to start out with pre-made rings from a ring manufacturer, because then you can, once you get your rings, you can just go right into weaving. And I want to spend the bulk of my time weaving rings into a project. I don't want to make rings necessarily. So, an anodizing setup, a ring cutting setup, they're all in my future, and then a riveting setup. Make some riveted chainmail. We're going to make some cool stuff with it. Have I made any chainmail with scales incorporated? I have scales. There. So these are some small scales from the Ring Lord from a long time ago. This is another project on the that I got to finish. Right, using split rings to connect them, and then I think these are the large rings, or large scales rather. I forget what size they are, but these will. I don't know if I'm going to connect them to chainmail or not. Probably. But I don't do as much scale work as some other people. There are people who that's primarily what they do. Right? And they come up with some cool stuff, don't get me wrong. But that's not what I enjoy doing. Because on the back, if you look at the back of scale mail, it's just European foreign one, right? And I only want to do that, so much. I like to do different stuff with. Those look to be large scales, yeah. Did you say nice shirt? Yeah, my Ocarina of Time Zelda t-shirt. I like this shirt. It's a good shirt. So, yeah. And there's the Ring Lord. Was it West Coast Chainmail? I don't remember if it was West Coast Chainmail or Chainmail Joe that just started putting out scales. Multicolored anodized aluminum scales. I shouldn't say multicolored, that's the wrong term. They are anodized aluminum scales with a variety of colors available. Right? You can make multicolored scales and multicolored rings through the anodization process. A lot of people use alcohol inks to fancy up their scales. Those always look pretty cool. And then Josh from Bracken Mail does a bunch of different multicolored anodized titanium rings. TRL has what? Anodized titanium or anodized scales. Could I talk without spitting? That'd be great. Betsy, thank you for the share. So, a lot of different ring and scale manufacturers out there. If anyone's ever, do you want to start learning how to make chainmail? I definitely recommend getting a kit, like a bracelet kit or something, and going from there, as opposed to learning to make your own rings, right? Which is a whole process in and of itself, right? Ring making is a skill, and then you have to learn how to make chainmail. All right, TRL has anodized scales. Yeah, I know. What I was trying to remember was whether or not it was Chainmail Joe or West Coast Chainmail that came out with their anodized scales. And then I know that Jen from Steampunk Garage has, I don't remember if she has, I think she has anodized titanium scales, anodized tie scales, anodized aluminum scales. I'm not sure what she has, but she got flustered with the scales from the Ring Lord. They were having some quality control issues there for a while. They've made a commitment to resolve their quality control issues, so they shouldn't have any issues moving forward. So she invested in making her own scales, and so you can find her stuff at Steampunk Garage on Etsy. And then I want to say it was Joe's Chainmail that came out with some more anodized aluminum scales. And of course the Ring Lord, you can get anodized scales from there. But yeah, to connect scales, it's just European 4-in-1, right? And you can do cool designs with scales. The multicolored scales themselves, but I have the scales that I've done. I got bored with this very quickly. It's cool, and I'll finish it and turn it into something awesome. But man, I am using split rings, and that's a giant pain in the butt. As opposed to most people just use butted rings for their scale pieces anymore. But I don't have the rings for butted scale mail. I have split rings, so that's what I'm going to use. Come on, why won't this? What in the world is going on here? No, through here, down through here. Come on, you gotta be kidding me. There. Was that so hard? Come on. Alright, so this is what? 1.5 inches, roughly. I mean, it bends without tearing itself apart. It seems like I'm going to be able to expand it. Chainmail Joe has large scales, 100 count for $35, on sale right now for $26.99. That's a good deal. Okay, so it was Chainmail Joe that just started that up. And that's a great place to get a beginner kit from too, right? Chainmail Joe has a whole beginner kit of bright aluminum, and comes in a cool, I will actually just want to buy it for the box because the box is really cool. Cool booklet of instructions. Very, very cool product. Definitely want to see people grab that and learn how to make chainmail, as opposed to the method I used when starting out. The other side I said was West Coast Chainmail, which I'm pretty sure it was Chainmail Joe that just announced that they were making scales, but I don't know. I think that's correct. I could be totally wrong though. Come on. There. You got your first kit from American Chainmail? I have never even heard of them. Alright. That's not what I want to do. We'll do that. I want to make this another row wider. I'm not, like if you look here, I'm not finishing out each row to the very end. These are all lined up down here, and this will get taken apart a little bit. Because when I go to connect this, this is so stiff that I'm only going to be able to go row by row, right? So once I go spin them around to connect the ends to each other, it's going to be really difficult if I tried to do it with all the rows lined up equally, as opposed to having them off center or not meeting up at the end. Oh, excuse me. So, like Elfweave and Interwoven 4-in-1 and Tiffany are all, they're pretty tight when you get to connecting the ends together. Come on. So I need to visit Michael's or a Hobby Lobby or something and go look at their decorative bottles. Oh, you know what would be a good place to look? World Market. I've got a bottle I stole from my wife from World Market. It's a little green bottle. And I know that World Market has them, but I don't think there's a World Market anywhere near me. West Coast Chainmail also shows up. It's Chainmail Dude. They do not have scales. Ah, okay. Okay, so it's got to be Chainmail Joe that announced recently that they started their own line of anodized aluminum scales, which is cool. It's good to have competition in a marketplace. Because there is one dominating company. Yeah. They've been around for the longest. And not that they don't deserve the loyalty to their brand, but you know, other people can make rings. Alright, so the hardest part so far is adding rows. Extending them, not so much. Adding rows is definitely a little difficult. So, but yeah, I'll have to go and visit a craft store, and I need a cork for this tiny bottle here. Little cork for that guy. And then I need a bottle or something to add. It helps if you open the ring. Something to wrap with this sheet of Elfweave we're making. You know, because it's blackened stainless steel, right? It's going to have a little bit of rub off. I could tumble it and clean it up a little bit. I probably should anyway. Clean up some of the couple of burrs on here, but this sheet of Elfweave is too tight to make into a bracelet, really. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I could. But this is not exactly a comfortable weave. It's okay. I don't know. it seems like the rings are quality enough that I can make a piece of jewelry out of it and put it up for sale. But it's, like I said, this is stiff as a board. Maybe if I just made a round bangle out of the whole thing. What if I did that? I mean, that's essentially what I'll be making anyway for whatever item I grab from the craft store to put this around. Come on. Alright. Give me a second, I will show you, I'll give you a close-up. Let's see here. Try and get this in as good a light as possible. We're working on row 4 here, I guess. Coming along. So I've got the blackened stainless here. I've got some sterling silver. I've got some anodized niobium, and these really large 12 gauge 3/8 rings that I need to finish this bag up for. Right. So that's kind of a bunch of projects right here in front of me. But like, you know, these are here. This is done. This is done. I need to tumble these and buy clasps for them. I need some stainless ball bearings to fill this with. I need a cork for this. And I need to use up the rest of these rings that I have and order more so I can add more layers. That's why they're here. This over here is, I gotta anodize this. I gotta anodize this. This is done. I can get rid of this. But it's so cool. I'm so happy with how that little chain came out. Right? It just matches perfectly. And actually, I wanted to try and bend this ring a little bit so it was more triangular. We'll see how that goes. That's why that's there. So I've got a bunch of projects nearly finished. A bunch of small projects to knock out. You know, and little time, little elbow grease, and we'll get a lot of stuff done. Speaking of elbow grease, while I was going through all the crap in my garage, I got so much organized today. It was nice. I'm not done. I got started late. So I'm going to go ahead and probably get out there some more tomorrow. Get stuff organized in the garage and in the shed. I got a vise. I need to get out my angle grinder, and I need to grab the rings from the garage door. So there's a spring on my garage door. It broke, and we got a new one placed a long time ago. And I've attempted to anneal the rings in a bonfire. And I don't know if it worked, but I just need to get the vise out, get the angle grinder out, and cut the rings and throw them in the tumbler, get them cleaned up, and we'll make a really large, ridiculous piece of chainmail. I don't know what it'll be, but you're trying to downsize, got rid of a good bit of stuff. There you go. I went through and got rid of all the clothes that didn't fit me the other day. I didn't get rid of everything. I held on to a bunch of sweatshirts. Bunch of hoodies, rather. But that was about it. Pretty much everything else got tossed if it didn't already fit me. It's like I just got tired of being uncomfortable. You know? I got tired of being fat in clothes that I didn't start out fat in. That's what happened. And now I have some newer clothes that fit me a lot better that like I think all of my pants just shrunk really because I just went out and bought the same size, just a different brand, and they were so much more comfortable. So it's like I went out and bought some American Eagle jeans. And before I had whatever Cole sells, Levi's or something. And I would never wear pants because they were just uncomfortable, right? I picked up these American Eagle pants that were, well, no, I didn't pick them up. My wife got them for me, and they are so much more comfortable than the Levi's I was wearing before. So much so that I will sometimes put them on and then forget that I'm not wearing pajamas. And I will wear them all day. Whereas before I would put on jeans if I had to, absolutely had to. And then they would immediately come off when I got home. So it's like, yeah, I did gain weight, but like they fit when I bought them. And then I just went out and bought the same size again from a different manufacturer. So I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I'm not skinny, but I really think that the pants did me in. I think they shrunk. So while I was going through pictures, I found a bunch of. So I'm a nurse, right? I was a nurse while I was deployed. I've been a nurse. I have my RN license, and I've been a nurse since 2004. Right? So when I was deployed, I worked in a hospital on my first deployment, in between Fallujah and Abu Ghraib. Abu Ghraib is the notorious Abu Ghraib, where they had some torture problems going on with an American unit. Like, the whole command from that unit got removed, and people went to jail for torturing detainees. And they're called detainees. They're not prisoners, right? They're detainees, and some of them become prisoners, and some of them get released. And so I was taking care of U.S. troops, third country nationals, which are like contractors from other countries. We had a lot from India and a lot from like Tunisia or something. Then, of course, our Iraqi translators and U.S. And coalition forces and the Iraqi detainees themselves. So a lot of the guys would be injured and brought in. We had civilian Iraqis that we took care of. Right? I mean, I did my share of running and gunning from Abu Ghraib to Baghdad. But most days I was just working in a hospital, right? And there were some wounds that we had that were unique, right? When people get shot by a bullet, it can do some damage. But then I was recalling one guy. We didn't even have, like, he hadn't been injured by us. He had broken his leg, and he had been in an Iraqi hospital. He broke his femur, went to the hospital, and for the squeamish, just close your ears for a second. Instead of like making incision at the top of his hip and sliding a rod down his leg and screwing his femur back together, they filleted the side of his leg open and put a rod in, like, laterally, right? So instead of going up from the knee or down from the hip and putting this rod in, they just filleted his leg open and put a rod in and screwed it to his femur, right? Which worked. His femur was stable when he came to us. However, he got an infection because of that giant wound in the side of his leg. And so they brought him to us for treatment. And we had to treat him for several months before our surgeons could get the right set of tools with which to remove the rod from his femur, right? Because his femur had healed. He just needed the rod removed so that this giant fillet wound can be open, or can be closed up, right? So we were fighting an infection with him constantly. So I have a blurry image of that because I had a crappy camera back in the day. That was cool to look back upon and see. Huh. Uh-oh. Come on. There we go. Lots of memories in those pictures that I dug up. Some pictures of people that I haven't seen in years, and some events that It's like, oh yeah, that happened. That's crazy. And this is 20 years ago at this point, so. I just like straight up skip a ring here? What's going on? I don't know what happened here. Something is not right. Ah. Let's see if I can get this in here. This is going to be tough. Alright. Anyway, my first deployment. Deploying with a hospital is like deploying a garrison to the field, right? Like, you're still gotta have nicely laundered uniforms. You're not really sleeping too rough. Hell, despite being in... Okay, so one of the things that officers don't want you to do in a war zone is salute them, because it marks them as an officer. And they don't want to get sniped, right? But this is a hospital setting, and so like half the doctors were insistent that they be saluted, and the other half weren't, and one doctor would just start screaming at people. It's like, do you want me to get shot? Which is a valid concern. Man, oh man. I might have to do a little bit more work on this. Whoa, my eyes just bugged out. There we go. Come on, stop dropping the ring. But yeah, valid concern. They don't want to get shot at by snipers. But we were... I mean, Abu Ghraib is a prison. It was a prison long before we ever got there. The British built it. And we had 4 walls around us. No one could see in. There weren't any buildings higher than the walls of what we were surrounded by. You know, so it really wasn't a concern that... We never had anybody fire sniper shots at us that I am aware of inside the compound. At the guard towers and at the entry points, sure. But not on the ground inside the compound, right? I don't believe that ever happened. We did get everything else fired at us, though. There's a... I think it's April 16th, 2005. It's on Wikipedia. There's a big event where we had a bunch of Iraqis trying to storm the compound, and they drove a big tractor trailer to the front gate. They didn't get very far. But they made a giant, like, 20-foot crater outside of one of our entry points. I don't want to go from this direction. So it was interesting. April, right? We get all these attacks, mortars, RPGs over the walls, stuff like that. With people trying to storm the castle gates, trying to get in, and there were a lot of injured on their side, and they were quickly rounded up and brought to the hospital. So it's interesting. The guys that were just shooting at us were now our patients. That's always loads of fun. That was an interesting thing to have happen. Not necessarily a group of people I wanted to take care of. I was young. Is the music on? Yeah, I've got music on. It's turned all the way up. But it's difficult to deal with taking care of the guy who just tried to kill you, right? But we got it done, took care of him, and I think at this point they've closed Abu Ghraib down, right? So before we were there was a reserve unit that had taken over for the Lindy England scandal unit, and then we got there, and then there was a New York reserve unit that came in, and I guess they ended up being removed as well. And that's when they closed down the hospital and the hospital portion of it. So, but I wasn't there. So my next deployment was into southern Iraq, and not much happened down there. Oh, but another fun thing that happened at Abu Ghraib, right? So you're surrounded by 4 walls. You're on a compound. It's like a mile long by a mile wide. In between Baghdad and Fallujah, right? And so there's lots of traffic out on the main road in front of the compound. And it's not, just civilians driving by. In fact, it's mostly not. If it's not U.S. armed forces or coalition forces, it's most likely not civilians either. So that road was pretty hectic. But so the British built Abu Ghraib, and then it got damaged. I'm sure someone tried to blow it up or something. And they had previously knocked one of the walls down. And that wall was the southern wall. And so one day we had a windstorm, and the wall that had been knocked down previously, it had been rebuilt by the Iraqi government. That wall, it fell down again. So here we are. We've got a hospital, some detainees, and some troops in the area. And one of our main defenses just fell down. That was exciting. Fortunately, nothing happened. They positioned some tanks right outside the wall, and we were fine. All right, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows wide, and it's not as it's very much a board. Right. So this may have all been for naught. Maybe we can do something else. Interesting. Oh, excuse me. It looks like a bug. Yeah. It looks like a tire, like piece of rubber from just give you a close up. Look like a piece of tire tread. Let's see here. I mean, if we just need a slight curve, the issue is, right, this would be most of the rings that I have. I only have this many rings, right? So we're only going around this bottle once. We're not, you know, we're not going very far around this bottle. So maybe if I had a short, squat bottle that I could wrap it around. I'll need to go check at the craft store and see if they have something. Right. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, it's, you know, we might not be able to finish that, which, that's fine. I mean, hang on. My noted wedding. Usually I start sneezing at the beginning of all my streams. Alright. Craft store seeking for bottle sizes. You have 6 different sizes. None golf ball size still. Yeah. Alright. Yeah. It's going to be... I don't have enough rings to make like a large bottle wrap like this one. Right? So something small would be preferable. Smaller. But this is also... Excuse me. Oh. If we had done like European 4-in-1 or something, this would be a lot looser and... Let's see what that looks like. Maybe we just need to do that. How's the evening? Just finished cutting 6 pounds of ER 630 stainless and 1/4 inch. Ooh. It's going. It's going until we got to this elf weave that doesn't want to flex beyond where it's at right now without pulling itself apart. I thought it was going to be good enough, but I think I'm wrong. I'm going to need to do something else. Make it in sections and bolt it together. I was just thinking about doing that. Excuse me. I think that I need to find a suitable bottle first if I go that route. This is supposed to be 20 gauge 1/8. It makes a pretty decent 4-in-1. But 4-in-1's kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie. It's plain. It's plain Jane. For when you're making random shit. If you're making armor, 4-in-1 is fine. It only does a 2 connector Byzantine. I bought these to make some earrings out of, and the aspect ratio wasn't quite right. It only does a 2 connector. I needed a 3 connector Byzantine, and so now we're doing something else completely. And using up the rings and turning it into some kind of project. A lot of Byzantine variants. There are. Someone was I don't understand this mentality. The drama causing nonsense in certain groups. Do I? No, I don't. Not off the top of my head. I don't know the aspect ratio off the top of my head, but... A good 16 gauge, 2 connector Byzantine, huh? What happened there? I completely did not add a ring. Alright. I don't want to make another dice bag. I don't want to. TRL's pick of recommended sizes. Someone just posted it somewhere. And I was going to say, I think I have it, if you can't find it. Recently saved onto my phone. Somewhere. Perhaps. Alright. No, I don't want to do a hacky sack because I've got 2 spheres here, and I want to do it's oh, and I just did a king to jelly cube with this one. So I guess the question becomes, right, what else can I make? I did 1 small dice bag, 1 larger dice bag, and I've got, this is just going to be a bag, right? However, I can make a dice bag out of this ring size and sell it. Right? A pyramid. I have some ideas for a pyramid. I've seen other people do it, right? It did not involve jelly cubes or anything of that sort, but... Alright, so it's black and stainless steel, so I wouldn't want to do a dice bag with, or a hacky sack with it necessarily. That's just, the blackening would just rub off, right? It makes a nice foreign one, I'll admit. Okay, so the rings are quality enough that I could use them in a project for sale. Right, and since I can't make a decorative elf weave wrap out of them because it's too tight, They won't make it. It'll be too tight for interwoven 4-in-1, GSG, or any half Persian sheet weave. They make a 2-connector Byzantine, but it looks like crap. Does it make oops? I've never made oops. So oops is a variation of European 4-in-1 where you like skip, intentionally miss every other ring. I've never made it. I've seen people come up with some really cool stuff with it, but I mean, if it can make 4-in-1, it should be able to make oops, right? That's the theory. Come on. All right. I'll have to think about it. Think about what I want to make. Because, like I said, there's nothing wrong with 4-in-1, but it's pretty, you know, it's definitely useful in some spots. But it's basic. I want to be a little more creative, but I might not be able to. Just a weird ring size. Weirder than I'm used to. So I don't know what to make of it. But all right, everybody. Let me get this situated here. Okay. All right. For everyone on TikTok, I appreciate you hanging out. My name's Sean. I run MailWorks.com, where I design and sell chainmail themed apparel and accessories. And if you are interested in learning more about making chainmail, there is an app in the link tree for Apple and Google. It's the MailWorks app, and it's there for new people to get all the resources I wish I would have had when I first started making chainmail. It's got links to ring manufacturers, links to where you can find tutorials, links to where you can find large groups of people talking about making chainmail. If you are interested in learning about making chainmail, my first step would be go and download that app. And while you're at it, please check out MailWorks.com and find yourself something nice from MailWorks, some chainmail themed apparel or accessories. And Christmas coming up. If you know anyone in your family that loves some fantasy, some medieval stuff, some chainmail stuff, that's got a lot of options from there. So, I will be back on later. I want everyone to have a happy, safe Veterans Day. And like, share, follow, push all the buttons so that I can get to 10,000 followers and stop using my phone as a camera. You all have a wonderful evening. I will talk to you all later. If I can turn this off. If I knew how to turn stuff off, I always press the wrong button. You guys have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. Bye. All right. And for everyone hanging out on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, thank you for being here. I do appreciate it. I'm on lately as often as I can because I've got a ton of work to do, and we're getting more and more projects lined up to keep us busy this winter. So if you're interested in learning about making chainmail, you can go to mailworks.com. There's an app section up at the top, and you can get the Mailworks app for Apple and Google and start your chainmail journey. Also, please check out mailworks.com so you can get all your chainmail themed apparel and accessories in time for Christmas. All right. I will talk to all of you later. You all have a wonderful evening. Have a happy, safe Veterans Day. Thank you for all the veterans out there that, if you're watching,